Hi all, and thanks for being with me. I have been wondering about who do you believe? So when it comes to politics, if you have a left-wing leaning set of beliefs, then do you believe anything that comes from the left? If you have a right-wing set of beliefs, do you believe anything that comes from the right? And what I've come to discover is that we probably shouldn't believe either of them. Because what I did was I did a kind of a deep dive into Sky News recently, and I watched the Kudlow show, not Sky News, Fox News actually, and I watched the Kudlow show on Fox, and lo and behold, he said a lot of things that kind of made sense to me, that if you were just listening to that and you believed everything that Kudlow said, then I guess there were lots of really good arguments for some of the things that he stated, because he said the economy's okay, stock exchange is not behaving erratically, that those terrible people have been stopped from coming in from Mexico, that inflation had stabilised, unemployment was okay. He raised a lot of issues for which there's elements of truth. Won't deny that. And then you have a look at the left wing's view of things and the surveys that they do around the way people view immigration, the way they view the economy, that sort of stuff. And you get a completely different picture of what people generally are thinking. So you wonder, who in the hell do I believe? And I guess if you have those left or right wing leanings, you're going to start to think that I'm going to accept whatever they say, even though they don't. And this is the other thing I noticed, is that they don't produce real evidence. Carter didn't produce evidence; he just stated that this is the way he viewed the economy. You can bring up, and I guess the point is you can create counter evidence to almost anything. And whether you're which side of the spectrum you're on, it doesn't matter. You can always create a counter argument for whatever. But the issue that sort of sponsored or sort of encouraged me to look at all of this stuff was this conversation about Obama and that he'd committed treason, and as a result of that, Gabbard and others were going to try and prosecute him for crimes that he apparently, according to them, had committed. So I thought, well, okay, maybe he did. Let's take this perspective. Maybe when in his administration did take steps that were illegal. Now, I could very well argue that, well, the Supreme Court now has ruled that if you are a sitting president, you can't be held responsible, and you can have immunity from whatever actions you took while you were president. Well, that would kind of exonerate Obama and any other president, for that matter, pre-Trump. So, okay, be that as it may, why don't they consider that? Why even bother to make these accusations about Obama, given that that's what that is the truth in terms of whether he could be prosecuted or not? So, okay, let that go for a moment. So what does it say? What do other media outlets say then about what happened sort of about 8 years ago? And how should we view it? Now, I'm going to show you something from The Guardian that is more than 8 years old. And this explains what was happening at the time. Now, if we take whatever this reporting is, and I trust The Guardian, many don't, I do, and we take it on face value, then what does this specifically mean? So The Guardian says, so Barack Obama orders full review of possible Russian hacking in the US election. President's decision to have US intelligence agencies look over evidence comes after unrelenting pressure from Democratic lawmakers to declassify information. Barack Obama has ordered US intelligence to review evidence of Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election after coming under sustained pressure from congressional Democrats. The review will be one of Obama's final instructions to the intelligence agencies, which will soon report to Donald Trump, whom congressional Democrats considered the beneficiary of a hack targeting the Democratic National Committee. Lisa Monaco, the White House counter-terrorism director, announced what she called a full review at a breakfast briefing sponsored by the Christian Science Monitor on Friday. At the White House press briefing later on Friday, Eric Schultz, the Deputy White House Press Secretary, denied the review was an effort to challenge the outcome of the election. We have acknowledged who won the election, he said. It wasn't the candidate the president campaigned for. He has gone out of his way to ensure a smooth transition of power, which is true. The review will span the last 3 presidential election cycles, Schultz said, told reporters. These agencies will have to take a look at what we saw in 2008, 12 and 16. This is going to be a deep dive. This is a review that will be broad and deep at the same time. They're going to look at where the activity leads them to look at. Now, what needs to be noted here is that this was at the end of Biden's term. There didn't seem to be any counter-interference or whatever prior to this date. However, the argument seemed to be that there was some immense plot in order to undermine the election of Donald Trump. It really wasn't. It was just about whether the Russians had attempted to interfere in the election by favouring Trump or favouring Clinton or simply just trying to interfere, period. End of story. And I don't know whether there's all much doubt and whether anybody is all that sceptical about, would the Russians interfere? Of course they would. The Chinese would interfere. The North Koreans would. Any of those actors would try to interfere in an election if they could. And given the flow of information across the internet and bots and other things that could be used, of course they're going to interfere. The question is the degree to which they did interfere. And according to the Obama administration, they proved, according to them anyway, that they didn't change any votes. They didn't mess around with the machines. They just interfered by Facebook and other nefarious efforts in order to be able to access social media. So that's what they did. So this brings me to this other article, which really is and this is from Al Jazeera. Now, I do trust Al Jazeera as well. There are plenty of people that will disagree with me on that, but I trust Al Jazeera because they're not kind of caught up in the American zeitgeist. They are kind of independent in a way, and I think that some of their reporting is really good. Can Barack Obama be prosecuted over Russian interference intelligence? US National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard launched a new attack on former President Barack Obama this week. And I think it does go, I do need to say that there is this fixation that Trump has with President Obama because he's black, because he was a good president, because he had morals and values, in my view. There are all these things that Trump represents, that Obama represents that Trump hates. So, and I think this needs to be considered in view of what's been happening. So, US National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard launched a new attack on former President Barack Obama this week, alleging that he conspired to undermine Trump's 2016 presidential victory by using false intelligence purporting to show Russian interference in Trump's favour on Wednesday. And the other question for me is, why does this matter now? Why is this such a big deal? Who cares whether it's in Trump's favour? Trump's now president. He's got what he wants. He has all the power in the world, literally. So why does this become so... Well, it can only be one thing, can't it? That for whatever reason, they have an issue with the fact that Obama was president for 8 years. They have an issue with Obama. It's an Obama issue, not necessarily about Russia or anything else. On Wednesday, Gabbard told a White House news briefing that she had declassified evidence of a conspiracy between Obama and senior officials in his administration. Gabbard said she had referred Obama to the Department of Justice for potential criminal prosecution. However, declassified documents released by Gabbard this week, including a September 2020 report led by House Republicans in the Intelligence Committee, do not appear to implicate Obama in any apparent way, experts say. There is no evidence of criminal acts on Obama's part or anyone in his administration. Barbara Ann Perry, who analyses US presidents at the Virginia-based Miller Center, told Al Jazeera. Several investigations by Congress and the intelligence community have previously found that Russia did interfere in the 2016 election. The document released an investigation come as the White House faces growing pressure from within Trump's MAGA base to release classified information about the high-profile sex offence and one-time Trump ally Jeffrey Epstein. There is a direct correlation between diversion from the Epstein files, which Trump and his MAGA followers have demanded to see for years, Perry said. Here's what we know about the allegations so far. So Gabbard has declassified a 44-page report prepared by the House of Representatives Intelligence Committee in September 2020 that she claims proves that Obama and senior officials in his administration engineered a treasonous conspiracy to suggest that Russia had influenced the 2016 presidential election in favour of Trump. The report, which is led by House Republicans, reviewed how US intelligence has concluded that Moscow interfered in the elections in a January 2017 intelligence community assessment that was published 2 months after the elections. And they go on to say there is irrefutable evidence that details how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of intelligence community assessment that they knew were false, Gabbard said. Now, none of that, incidentally, provides evidence whatsoever. And I think that it's becoming apparently clear that this is it's what Trump would call a witch hunt to focus on Obama, who won't be running for president again, who is just sitting back, in his lounge chair writing books, but who has no significance whatsoever, and very little significance in terms of the Democrats, I guess, at this particular point in time, until Trump raises these issues. And then Obama comes out and says what Obama says, which is something he didn't want to do because he feels under attack. So, look, let me know what you think. I'm really curious now about, where you get your information from. Why do you get that information? What sort of information do you get? Do you believe the information that you have? Do you look elsewhere to get ideas on, which either solidify or agree with the information that you have, or which challenges the information that you've gathered? Like, how do you do that? Let me know in the comment section below. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.